beautiful people. I hope you all are doing well. Good day, beautiful people. I hope you all are doing well. Today we will be talking about anemia. Anemia is low red blood cell count or hemoglobin in the blood. Hemoglobin is a protein in red blood cells that carries oxygen throughout the body. All right, so anemia, sickle cell or sickle cell anemia disproportionately affects Black people. Anemia in itself disproportionately affects Black women, and sickle cell anemia disproportionately affects Black people in general. And I'm going to break down why anemia disproportionately affects Black people, Black women anyway. All right, because it's a bunch of things all rolled into one, because one causes the other and the other and the other. Hi Nick, how are you today? Blessings and peace to you, brother. All right, so some of the symptoms that a lot of us as Black women look over and we just think is normal because it happens so often is maybe you're having some heart palpitations. You just think that maybe you had too much salt, or you're too active with things of that nature. But it could be a symptom of being anemic. Also, headaches, dizziness, being cold more than not, having cold extremities, your feet, your fingers, your hands, things like that are always cold. You always find yourself cold. Having shortness of breath, and having low energy or being just tired. A lot of us as mothers, we just think, oh, it's normal, I'm just tired. But it could be a symptom of being anemic. All right. So some of the causes of anemia and being anemic are heavy periods and fibroids. Now, this is what I was talking about when I was mentioning that anemia and being anemic disproportionately affects Black women, because Black women have a higher chance of having fibroids. And so fibroids cause heavy periods, and heavy periods can cause anemia. So that's how all of that plays together when it comes to Black women. And when you want to talk about fibroids, there's so many things that go into that, so many different environmental factors, such as, what you're eating, the chemicals we even put on our hair. It is a scientific fact. It's been proven. Statistics are out there that chemical lye, relaxers that we put in our hair to straighten our hair, they cause fibroids. And we are putting those chemicals in our little girls' hair at the youngest ages of, maybe even 4 or 5 years old, we start getting relaxers. So we are more prone to get all of these different diseases and fibroids in return affect fertility. So you just have a domino effect of all of these different things going on. But remember this, fibroids cause you to have longer, heavier periods, which causes you to lose more blood, which causes anemia. And, it's just a vicious cycle. Hey, Nick, so you're down on my channel soon and fine when you're ready. Okay, cool. I'd love that. We can talk about some topics that we could definitely talk about. I have a lot of questions for you. So some other issues and causes of anemia is iron deficiency. And anemia causes iron deficiency, and iron deficiency causes anemia. So there's that cycle again. To get iron, I'm going to go into some treatments and some different things you can do to boost your iron intake as well. Some other causes of anemia can be B12 deficiency, folate deficiency, and sickle cell trait, of course, which causes anemia. Now, sickle cell in itself, if you don't already know, sickle cell is when the platelets or the blood cells have irregular shape. So that irregular shape in itself, it leads to even more severe anemia because the blood can't flow back and forth. So when you see a lot of African Americans that have sickle cell, because again, we're disproportionately prone to sickle cell anemia, and they're in pain, it's because that blood and that oxygen can't flow the way it needs to flow. And I actually know someone who has passed away from sickle cell anemia, and I also have a family member with sickle cell anemia, and he's always in and out of the hospital, young guy, and it's really a hard thing to watch and to know that's going on with a loved one, but just people in general, it's something to be sensitive to, and what's, that's happening in our community. So some of the treatments that you can do to help, alleviate some of the symptoms of anemia is, before I do that, let me read these right quick. Skibidi, you started relaxing your hair at 5. Do you think that actually could have affected fibroids? Absolutely. I got the world's heaviest periods. Yes. Ask your doctor to do an abdominal scan, or they can do it with the actual ultrasound, and they can check out and see how many fibroids you have. The last child I had, I actually found out that I have a lot of fibroids, and a lot of that goes undiagnosed. A lot of women don't know why they can't have children or they can't stay pregnant. You could have fibroids, and they could be protruding or invading your uteral space, and so the baby doesn't have the space or the capacity that it needs to grow and to thrive. It could be cutting off oxygen supply to your uterus. So yes, you start relaxers at 5 years old, like a lot of us do, because black people for some reason just think we can't walk around with a nappy head like what God gave us, and we start putting chemicals in these babies' heads, and then later on they have fertility issues, they have all of these cancers and fibroids and all of these other things going on. They're starting their period at 7, 8 years old. Yeah, those are definitely some serious causes. Yes, your mama got sickle cell. You see what I'm saying? It's a vicious cycle. A vicious cycle. The Empire Takeover cut a wet. Okay, let me help you out. There you go. So some treatments for sickle cell anemia. B12 supplement. All right, because a lot of nutrients and minerals that we need, they actually work together in tandem, because some minerals and vitamins that we need actually help with the absorption of other minerals and vitamins. So B12 is one that we need, and you could be deficient in if you are anemic. You might want to also take some iron supplements. All right, if you are anemic, you definitely need iron supplements, and you really want to focus on your supplements right before your cycle, during your cycle, and after your cycle. So pretty much that's all the time. If you're anemic and if you have heavy cycles, you want to have a good supply of a good iron supplement in your repertoire, because sometimes it can be hard to absorb it in food. And so that's the next treatment, is actually what you eat. Folate is really good as well, and blood transfusions in severe cases. I have family members and I have good friends that have had to have blood transfusions because they are anemic and they lose so much blood during their menstrual cycles. All right, so some of the things that have helped me being anemic is prenatal vitamins. I have been pregnant I was pregnant in 22, I was pregnant in 23, I was pregnant in 2024. So I had my last child last year. I have not stopped taking my prenatal vitamins because I know I need them. A woman's body doesn't fully heal properly until 2 years after she has a child. And I already know I'm anemic. So the folate that's in the prenatal vitamins help me a lot. I do take iron supplements as well. I still do. And I don't see myself getting off of the prenatal vitamins anytime soon because they do my body so well. So you want to find yourself a nice non-GMO prenatal vitamin. Even if you don't have any any desire to have any more kids, it is very beneficial, trust me. All right, you're still in high school, will prenatal still help you? Yes, but talk to your doctor, because if you're already sufficient in your levels in certain minerals and vitamins, you don't want to overdo it and overload your body. So you make sure you go to your doctor, you get a blood panel drawn so they can check all of your levels, your vitamin D, your B12, all that stuff. And if you're deficient in anything, that's what you want to make sure that you're pepping up on. So some of the other things, like I said, that help me, the prenatal vitamins, of course. I take them before, after, during. Even if I'm not trying to have a child, I always take them because they just work for me. Iron supplements, of course, you want to make sure you're getting one that absorbs into your body well. So get one that works for you, because not all are the same. All right. Let's see, spinach is really good. We eat a lot of spinach in our household. Pretty much every other day we're eating spinach, and spinach cooks down a lot, so you want to make sure you're buying ample amount so that you're getting the amount of nutrients in your body from the spinach that you actually need. All right, another thing is liver. Now, I know liver is an acquired taste. So if you can tolerate liver is a really good food to get, some extra iron into your body and into your system. One of the best recommendations I have gotten in being anemic, that a doctor actually gave me quite a few years ago, is cooking your food in a cast iron skillet. All right. Cast iron skillets were something that, the old school, our grandparents, great grandparents, they always, that's all they had really to cook in. But cast iron skillets are really good with helping to fortify and put iron into your food. Okay. So if you don't have a cast iron skillet, you can go out, find yourself a good one. You can go to thrift shops. There, people give things away all the time, and you can find some really good antique pots and pans, good cast iron pots and pans in thrift stores, because they can get expensive, especially the good ones. Okay. You don't think you can eat liver without gagging? I understand. That's why I said it's an acquired taste, but if you can stand it, it's good. There's pork liver, there's beef liver, there's chicken liver, all of that stuff. I like my liver fried. I just like that crunch on it. Some people like it fried and then sauteed in some gravy, and they put onions on it. But however you can tolerate it, if you can, then do so. But if you can't, try to get iron in other foods, like I said, spinach, maybe even getting yourself a cast iron skillet, things of that nature, and find some other foods that are just high in iron. That work for you and work for your body, because not all foods will work for everyone's body. And also be mindful of certain foods and maybe supplements that could hinder your iron absorption. All right. So a lot of people don't know, but calcium actually hinders your body's ability to absorb iron. So if you're drinking a lot of cow's milk, cheese, cow-based yogurt and things of that nature, you might want to switch to maybe a coconut-based type yogurt. We eat a lot of vegan butter, vegan cheese, and coconut-based yogurt, because my son is allergic to cow's milk, and we don't drink cow's milk, and we haven't for years. So we've found a lot of great alternatives to cow's milk, which is good for me anyway, because I'm anemic, and calcium prohibits the absorption of iron. All right. So there's also almond-based milk. You have cashew milk, you have cashew and almond-based yogurt as well. So there you go. If you guys have any more questions for me, I'd love to answer it as far as my anemic journey is concerned. And going back to the fibroids, right before I had my last child, there was a fibroid that was protruding into my uteral space, right, which would have prevented me from, it wouldn't have prevented me from having a child, but I just wanted it to have the best possible outcome and not hinder anything. So I actually had a myomectomy. All right. And a myomectomy is when they go in and they remove fibroids. I didn't have a whole lot removed. I just had a few removed, which means that I still have fibroids because there were just that many. But I just had the few removed that were protruding, or, you know, invading my uterine space where the baby would grow. And I had a very successful pregnancy, even though I still had fibroids. So fibroids in themselves don't have to prevent you from becoming pregnant, prevent fertility or anything like that. But depending on their location, then they could. So that's something that you want to look into, talk to your doctor about, get an ultrasound. And it doesn't have to be an invasive procedure. Mine was laparoscopic. It was minimally invasive. I didn't have any symptoms or, you know, like that after the procedure. It was a outpatient procedure. After that, all went well. But again, if you're watching this after the fact, you have any questions, comments, or concerns about being anemic or sickle cell anemia. I'm not an expert on sickle cell anemia. I just know that, you know, how it affects Black people. Then just feel free to drop me a comment, and I will gladly answer as much as I possibly can. I want to thank you all for watching this live today, and you all be blessed.